It might have been senior night, but this was the Luca Bogavatz game. Let's go!
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. Welcome into this live postcast edition of the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day, all part of the Locked On Network, which is now the #1 sports podcast network out there. Thank you for making us your first listen or watch, and a special shout out to all our everydayers, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and our insiders as well. Yes, sirree, Bob, a huge win on senior night against a tough, gritty Clemson team to put Carolina in the driver's seat to get the final double bye in the ACC tournament. Great stuff. Here's where we're going to head on the show. If you're new, welcome in. We're so glad you're here on our live postcast. We will talk big picture stuff. We'll talk nitty gritty stuff. We'll take your comments and questions from over in the comment side of things. So make sure you dump some stuff in there. I won't get to all of it, but I'll follow up and get some of it into tomorrow, Wednesday's show as well. Here we go. Let's unpack the details. Carolina wins against Clemson 67-63. I was 3 points off of my game prediction was Carolina 70-63. So I hit Clemson's score on the dot and missed Carolina's by 3. Crazy. Dadgummit. I was so close. The Tar Heels now move to 24-6 on the season, 12-5 in ACC play with one regular season game left. Interesting. This is occurring to me in real time. I need to go back and look. The most games Carolina could lose the rest of this season is 3. At Duke, 1 game in the ACC tournament, 1 game in the end. That means Carolina cannot get to double-digit losses, and that's been a minute. I need to go back and look at when that would be. I don't think they've done it in the Hubert Davis era. I'll get that on the Wednesday show. I promise you that. Carolina wraps up a perfect season at home, 18-0. We'll say more about that in a second. Here's what I love. For the longest time, Carolina was undefeated at home against Clemson, 59-0. And then those dumb Tigers came in and beat Carolina in overtime and Coach Williams next to last season. And again, 2 years ago, oddly enough, in the year that Carolina was really, really good, was a 1 seed. And so Carolina had lost 2 of their last 3 at home to Clemson, 5 of their last 9 overall. So really, really good to get this win. Carolina now all-time 61-2 at home against Clemson. Unreal stuff. Great job, Tar Heels. Carolina, oddly, I guess it's because it's another close win. Fine, whatever. They literally don't change their rank at KenPom. They came in 28th. They're still 28th. They came in 32nd in offensive efficiency. They actually dropped to 34th in offensive efficiency and stay 40th at defensive efficiency. Fine, whatever. Predictive numbers, great, fine. This right here is a party. Now, I haven't had time to yet go back and watch the Seth Trimble post-game stuff or the Elijah Davis post-game stuff. Obviously, we'll go do that because you got it, man. The emotion of it is so great, especially on a night when it's a guy like Seth Trimble, who, according to CBS Sports' Isaac Trotter, is one of just 22 high major players that are going through senior week stuff, having played all 4 years at their school. Unreal. And then, of course, Elijah Davis being Coach Davis's son. Man, this is a special night. So quick look ahead at the ACC standings. Virginia won by like 5 against Wake Forest at home, so they've now locked up the 2 seed. Miami plays tomorrow night, so they haven't done anything yet. But Carolina has the inside track on Clemson to get the 4 seed. But again, all that has to happen is one of 2 things. Either, well, I guess one of a couple things. Either Carolina controls their own destiny. You go beat Duke Saturday, perfect. But you can take care of it before then, but it's out of your hands in that regard. If Miami wins at SMU tomorrow night, Carolina is the 4 seed. There you go. So that's all that needs to happen. Another thing that could help is even if Miami loses both of these games, if Clemson loses their final game, which I think they host Georgia Tech Saturday, so that's probably not happening. So ideally, go beat Duke. But also, we could find out before then if Miami takes care of business on the road tomorrow night. We're all Canes fans. Where are you at, Locked On's Alex Dono? We love you, buddy. All right, man. If you had told me, speaking of Miami, that after that game where Carolina looked lost at times, just struggles, in some ways, maybe that's a bit of a schedule loss coming off of the Duke win right there. Like I see that and I get that and I understand it. But you don't want to like give it up, right? And obviously we know now on the backside that Caleb got hurt in that game. Henry got hurt in that game. But if you had told me after that moment where we were down bad, and then after that, sure, Carolina beat Pitt, but then they lost to NC State. But after that Miami game, if you had told me that we'd be sitting here in the last week of the regular season and Carolina would be 5-1 without Caleb Wilson, I would have straight up laughed in your face and said, that's a dream scenario. It ain't going to happen. I'm just being realistic. And you know me, Isaac Schade, glass half full kind of dude. But here we are. Carolina has gone 5-1. They've put themselves in position to where not only, like, I was just worried about, can they maintain their NCAA tournament seeding and not fall to like a 8 or 9? Could they stay in that 6 or 7 range? Not only has Carolina maintained, they've actually bettered their NCAA tournament standing, where Joe Lunardi earlier today, surprise, surprise, actually said, hey, if Carolina beats Clemson, they're going to climb up to a 5 spot. St. John's also won tonight, but barely at home against Georgetown. So I'm curious to see what happens there. Obviously, there's also those 3 SEC teams ahead of Carolina in Lunardi's 5 line. And I haven't looked at what everybody else has done, but we'll get to that on the Wednesday show. I'm going to go live and do that, by the way, on Wednesday morning. And as part of going 5-1, rewind the tape with me. Carolina had this 3-game home stretch to wrap the regular season ahead of the Duke game. They played at home against Louisville. And then, I'm at Virginia Tech on Saturday. And then this game against Clemson. And I had said, man, you got to go 2 out of 3 in that one. And then if you do so, cherry on top against Duke. But Carolina just swept that 3-game stretch. And now, sure, it is cherry on top against Duke because you're expected to lose that game. You've kind of already done a lot of what you need to do to cement where you want to be in the postseason. And so now here's the good news. Carolina can play fast and free. It's house money. I think let's be honest. The pressure in this game Saturday is on the Duke Blue Devils. I truly believe that. And maybe Caleb's back. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if you risk it at this point, right? I know we want to beat Duke, but is it worth it at the risk of injuring Caleb worse? I'm not sure. Let's talk senior night. Then we'll get to some other stuff. We'll take a break and get to some other stuff. As per usual, Carolina starts all their seniors, which in this case, as we said earlier, is both Seth Trimble and Coach Davis's son, Elijah. I had expected or predicted that Elijah would start in place of Derek Dixon. Seth would run the point. But funnily enough, now seeing where things ended up, they started Elijah in place of Luca Bogavatz. I think, retrospect, hindsight, that's actually the right call and why those guys make the big bucks, because then you keep your point guard in, you got Seth playing off ball, and Elijah can float a little bit. And honestly, it was a great start. Clemson attacked Elijah on the first possession of the game. They missed. Then Carolina goes down. Henry Vasar gets swarmed a little bit, finds Seth in the corner for a 3. And at that point, kind of also hilariously now, I'm thinking, oh, Seth about to go off tonight. He didn't, but he got it started. Next Carolina possession, after I guess it was a Clemson layup, maybe there. I can't remember what they scored. Then Henry gets doubled again, kicks it out to Derek Dixon for a 3. Carolina's up 6-2. And then they get a turnover. They can't score. But when Elijah checks out, it's 6-5 Tar Heels. You can't sure, you'd like to maybe have a bigger lead, but 2 minutes in and you haven't lost ground with essentially a walk-on level division or high major Division I player in the game. We'll take that. But then you guys, what a poetic justice moment that Seth started the scoring and then he ended the scoring at the free throw line. Yeah, I know he missed the last one, but actually sometimes in a moment like that where there is scant time left in the game, there was 9/10 of a second. And I don't know, I'd be curious to hear from Seth. Sometimes you actually want to miss that free throw. Carolina's up 2 possessions, right? It's a 4-point game, so it doesn't really matter. But had Carolina been up 3, because Clemson was out of timeouts. If you miss that free throw, then they've got to catch it, turn around and shoot it. Whereas if Seth makes it, they have an opportunity to get out of bounds, throw it the length of the floor. Now, again, it doesn't matter because Carolina was up 2 possessions. All that said, I love that Seth was the guy at the free throw line at the end. And then I thought it was really neat that because Carolina's up 2 possessions, it would have taken a crazy act, like a full court 3-pointer made with a foul and make the free throw. Highly unlikely because all you got to do is stay out of the way. So I loved that Coach Davis brought Elijah back into the game. Whatever, maybe some people get mad about it because like, oh, sure, with your kid, you're going to do that. I don't care, man. Special moment that well-earned and deserved by those 2 Davis. Gosh, I told you, I knew it. I said it on the day show. I was going to get choked up, and here's me doing that. Just absolutely special, neat moment. All right, we got to actually start unpacking some of this game, what happened, how it came together, some of the special moments down the stretch, and Carolina being undefeated at home, what that means. We'll talk about it all coming up here in just a second. Right after I tell you about Robinhood. Hey, what if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long, and then you use your sports knowledge basically in any of these moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets change the game. It's people moving the action so that when the momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but before now, I had never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now, I and you can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play-by-play, you decide. So trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission, merchant, and swap firm. Check it out, Robinhood. All right, we are here, Locked on Tar Heels, post-game after Carolina beats Clemson in the home finale 67-63. And I want to thank you for making Locked on Tar Heels your first listen or watch. And I want to encourage you to check out our brand new Everydayers Club, a great way to go next level with the show. That link is in the show notes. Check it out. I'd love to tell you more about it. All right, I mentioned Seth hits that first shot of the game, and you're like, oh, this is going to be a special night for Seth Trimble. He's been going off lately. He's going to do it again. And quite frankly, Seth didn't. Misses his next 6 shots in the game and then doesn't hit another shot until a critical moment. And Seth finished, what was his final? 2 of 10. And what was really neat is Carolina is up 4 with about 2:30 to go. Carolina gets into a weird situation where they nearly turn the ball over. I'm stressed. It gets into the coffin corner in front of the Carolina bench. Henry has it, just kind of shovels it to Seth. Seth, on senior night, is the senior. Takes his time, maneuvers into the lane, kind of finds his way, weaves a little bit, and then pulls up for a late shot clock 3. Or not late, I'm sorry, late shot clock shot. Buries a little mid-range, puts Carolina up 6 at that point with 2:21 to go. And man, that is a critical moment. And for a dude who had, outside of that first 3, not hit a shot all night, to have the confidence to step up and do it in that moment, to not let what all those you've missed affect you, to just do it, unreal stuff. That is what you get from a senior coming back and having a night like this. Really, really, really cool. Seth, way to go. And I just, ow, that really hurt. It's special, man. It's special. And we're not going to get to see that much more ever. And so let's really appreciate Seth and who he is and what he's done and what he's going to continue to do. Oh, by the way, because he ain't done yet. Finishes still with 9 points because he made 4 of 6 at the free throw line. That gets him for his career. He was at 924. So that'll be 933 for Seth right now. Needs 67 more to hit 1,000 career points. North Carolina, undefeated at home. I want to lay that out more on the Wednesday show, so we'll get to that. But just like the ramifications of it, I guess I mean. But Carolina 18-0 at home. It's the most home wins ever, and the sixth undefeated season in the Smith Center. Unreal stuff. All right, but I want to get to Luca Bogavatz. How have we gotten this long into the show and not gotten to Luca? Now is the moment. Luca Bogavatz. Pretty quiet first half, if we're being honest. First half, Luca didn't start, obviously, because Elijah did, but came in pretty quick. Only took 2 shots, a 2 and a 3, which he made. So 3 points at halftime, 1 rebound, 2 assists, and 1 turnover in 9 minutes. And it's like, all right. At that point, he was tied with Henry for a team high +7. But in the second half, Luca was on fire. In the second half alone, 5 of 12 from the field, 5 of 9 from 3, 17 points, and kind of willed Carolina back around that 6-minute mark when, look, Clemson started trying to really pull away in this thing. It was like, dang, I don't know if it's like all of this lead up, all of this talk about all the ACC tournament seeding scenarios, and it looks like maybe the Tar Heels aren't going to get it done. And so Clemson is up 3 with 6:49 to go. And then Luca hits a 3 to tie it. Crazy stuff. Henry Vesar makes 1 of 2 at the free throw line. Then they get a 3 from that Welling kid that was just like, he was kind of annoying to me, just fouling everything. Whatever, fine. But then, so that puts Clemson back up 2. Then comes the step back, and that was the audacious one to me. That the fact that he was taking that shot, which it shouldn't be audacious to me because that's what Luca does. Step back 3 to give Carolina a lead at 56-55, a lead that they would never relinquish the rest of the game. And then he has the 6th one coming off the curl. At that point, he is 6 of 8 from beyond the arc. The most threes he had hit a game before this was 3, and he doubles that. And man, I got to tell you, this is the Luca Bogavatz that we expected when he came over from Montenegro. Like, this is going to be the dude. Remember, we speculated offseason about, could Luca be Carolina's leading scorer? Well, he's not. But you know what is true? After this win, Carolina is 9-0 when Luca Bogavatz scores 14 or more points this season. That ain't nothing, man. There was something about that. And so really, really cool. Luca gets 2 critical free throws later. We'll talk about the free throws in a second, but that gives him a career high at Carolina, 20 points, man. The biggest moment in one of the most important parts of the season. Yes, there have been some wins against better teams that maybe seemed bigger, but given the stakes of what was at stake tonight, the best game at the best moment for Luca, man. Really, really cool stuff. So happy for him. One of the other things I think that was important for Carolina in winning this game, and we talked about it coming in, is Clemson's defense is where they hang their hat. They allow about 65 points a game. Carolina got just north of that. And you knew they were going to come in and be rough to see like, hey, can Carolina, wine and cheese Carolina, are they tough enough? And a couple times tonight, I didn't think they were. But for the vast majority of this game, Carolina fought and clawed and did everything they needed to do. A big part of that was Jaron Stevenson, man. Like, how often have we said Jaron Stevenson has to be like, yeah, Jaron Stevenson? And tonight he was. Critical rebounds, critical tough rebounds, including that offensive rebound late in the game that gave him 10, which, by the way, is a career high for Jaron Stevenson. This was the first time in his career that he got double-digit rebounds. Let me see what the scenario was when he got that offensive rebound. 58 seconds to go. And let me see what happened at that point, because I want to bring that back together. Carolina's up 2. Luca misses a 3. Jaron gets the offensive rebound. Oh, there we go. And that led to the Derek Dixon 3 that put Carolina back up 3. So, yes, we're going to remember Luca. We're going to remember that Derek Dixon 3, which we got to talk. That is Derek Dixon heroics 3 times this season, at least late game scenarios. We'll talk more about that on the Wednesday show for sure. But if Jaron doesn't get that offensive rebound, Clemson has the ball, about 45 seconds to go with Carolina up 2. And you don't know what's going to happen at that moment. Critical free throw for Jaron Stevenson led to one of the bigger shots of the night. That's great stuff. But again, Carolina was tough enough in this game, and that's one of the things that mattered most. Yes, clearly they missed Caleb a ton in this game. I think Caleb would have been a huge factor with his athleticism, slowing down some of the, when they just tried to get rough with Carolina, Caleb just goes around that, right? And so the other thing, we've talked about how Carolina has struggled at times this season in the half court. They only got 3 fast break points in this game. And you'd like more, but hear me also say, I was actually encouraged that Carolina, while scoring just 3 fast break points, was tough enough to win a game against a defensive-minded Clemson team. That's really important. And part of it, too, was there was a whole bunch of fouling going on that was not getting called. The most egregious of which was a drive that Seth had, and he was being mauled, probably legitimately 3 different fouls that could have been called from 2 different Clemson players. Yes, they get a block on it. And man, you got to call those, but also you just got to play. And Carolina did, and they get out of there with the win. And part of the reason they got a win was threes and frees. How often this year has Carolina struggled at the free throw line? Quite often. And then on Saturday against Virginia Tech, they did very well. Thank you very much. In fact, we talked about how free throws helped them win the game instead of potentially costing them the game. And Carolina could have done that same thing tonight that they've done in other moments, but it could have cost them this game, like I believe it cost them the Stanford and Cal games. Lessons learned in those moments helped Carolina tonight. And interestingly, they were 8 of 10 coming into those crucial final 1-and-1 scenarios. And I was like, of course it's going to be poetic justice that Carolina's going to have a great game at the free throw line, but then they're going to miss in crunch time, and that's what's going to hurt them. To that point, Jaren Stevenson misses the front end of that 1-and-1 with Carolina, I believe, up 3. And again, Jaren had a great game. I don't want to bag on him. He was 4 of 4 at the line at that point. He had done his job, but he misses that one. And it's like, of course. But then, after Clemson now gets it to within 1, they foul Luca Bogavatz, who's had this great game. 12 seconds left at this point. He calmly steps to the line and knocks them both down. Carolina not only didn't lose because of free throws, they won because Luca made them. And because they, at that point now, 8 of 11, that would make them 10 of 13. Really, really good. And then Seth, the inconsequential ones at the end. So Carolina finishes 11-15, really important. And if we're being honest, Clemson kind of bungled that final possession. They get it into the front court, call timeout with exactly 10 seconds left. They got no timeouts left. They come out and Carolina I haven't gone back to watch, but I got to imagine that was I was so close to being a 5-second call. They inbound it, but Dylan Hunter goes to the rim for some reason instead of taking a 3 because they had wasted some time. I got to be honest. I thought they could have called a foul on Bogey there. They didn't. The layup misses. It goes over. Hunter actually is able to tip his own shot, but now he volleyballs it back the other way. Carolina gets a rebound, set to the line, 9/10 of a second left. That's it. That's all. I'm usually a proponent of getting to the rim and getting a quick 2 because the other team's typically going to olay there, as Bogey had done a couple possessions before, stuck his hands behind his back. But he didn't, and I thought Clemson probably should have gone ahead and taken a 3. I was also curious to see, and we didn't get to find out because they didn't do it, was Carolina planning to foul up 3? We don't know because they went for 2. So thank you for that. Speaking of 3s, neither of these two teams are great from the 3-point line, but Carolina did everything they needed to in this one. Coming in, I said, as I've said all season long, I want to see Carolina attempt 15 to 23s and make at least 35% of them. Well, they were hot tonight, so they kept shooting them. They shot 27. Again, more than I would ideally like, but hey, they made 12 of them, 44.4% for the Tar Heels. Because not only was it Bogavatz going 6 of 10, but Derek Dixon, 3 of 4 from beyond the arc. That's 9 of your 12 right there. And if Derek Dixon is refinding his shooting form, watch out. He has obviously gone through that slump, but he looks confident. It looks good coming out of his hand. He had that critical one that we talked about late. Carolina needed that 3-point shooting tonight. And again, 44%. One other stat thing I want to say, and then we'll probably leave the rest of it for tomorrow's show. Actually, 2 other things. I lied. I had said that the Clemson bench has so much depth and they get a ton of their scoring from there. Carolina coming off a Virginia Tech game where the bench scored 32. And I said the Carolina bench has to show up and at least hold their own, even if Clemson's bench outscores them. You know what happened? Now, part of this is because Luca was coming off the bench, so I get that. But Carolina's bench outscores Clemson's 27-11. Now, let's be honest, in a normal game with Luca starting as he's been doing in Caleb's absence, that, there's only 7 other bench points, 4 from Zayden High, 3 from Jonathan Powell. So, okay, fine, whatever. But still, the fact remains Carolina got 27 bench points, and it mattered. The other thing that was important for Carolina is they're a team that assists at a high rate. Close to 60% of their field goals come off of assists. Clemson only allows 10 assists per game and holds teams to a low assist rate. But Carolina was able to get 13 tonight, and they started hot. It was like 4 assists on the first 4 made field goals, things of that nature. And so they kind of split the difference because Carolina averages 16 assists a game. And so, man, really, really important. So now, again, we look towards tomorrow. We cheer hard for Miami, and then we look ahead to Duke on Saturday, hopefully already knowing that we got that double bye in the back pocket, but we'll see what Miami's going to do. Jay Lucas, we need you. We need you real bad. All right, so I want to get to your comments, questions. We'll do that here coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel. Y'all, college basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into an even bigger potential payout with college basketball parlay profit boosts. You can build any college hoops parlay you want. Rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits your view of how the games are going. You can mix spreads, totals, player props, whatever it is, just based on what you want to do, and then apply that profit boost and instantly bump up the potential for this game. Carolina covers the spread here. The spread fluctuated. There was 2.5 at times. It was 3.5 at times. They win by 4. So I don't care which of those you got it at. You're a winner if you took Carolina. They are probably going to be big underdogs Saturday. So maybe you think they can keep it close because they're playing loose. Check it out. Go safe, go bold, do whatever you want to do. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Again, that's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. This episode's also brought to you by Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, but the one position you still need to fill is just sitting there open. So when the pressure's on and you need the right hire, that's a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs, who helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post and finds it. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute that I'm talking to you, companies just like yours have made 27 hires with Indeed, according to their worldwide data. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, that's a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners to our show are going to get a $75 sponsored job credit to help your job get the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. So head there right now. Support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On Tar Heels. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? That's a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. All right, we're going to leave the box score up as we keep talking here, and I'm going to get a little sip of water. Oh, man, all sorts of great comments here. A lot of what we've already hit on, and that's great. Our guy, Derek Tyson, we talked about Derek Dixon and everything that he did in this game, some of those clutch threes, including obviously that one late that gave Carolina the 5-point lead again off the Jaren Stevenson offensive rebound. But it's not just his ability to make them. As Derek Tyson says here, Dixon has shown time and again that he isn't afraid of taking clutch shots in close games. Again, we will detail that more on the Wednesday show, but I just want to say, I think it's easy to sit in your armchair, as I do, as you all do, and say, of course, I'd be the man and I'd take that shot. I'd be the woman and I'd take that shot in late game scenarios or late shot clock scenarios. But I tell you, man, it's different when you're out there and you're scared. Like, what are the ramifications if I miss? What happens if it's like an air ball and everybody chants at me? Oh my goodness. And then you kind of psych yourself out. You wait, you don't take the shot. Derek Dixon, multiple times this season has not only been capable of taking and making a shot, but he's been willing. And it's that willingness to be a dude that makes me trust what he's doing now going forward, because it feels like the shot's back. And I think that's huge for Carolina heading into the postseason. And so that makes it really happy. And Derek also said, I want to follow up here. Not Seth's greatest offensive game. We've already talked about that. He says, though, but his defense was still great. And that was the thing. Seth just kept plugging. You could tell he was frustrated with himself, not making some shots. It's senior night. I get it, whatever. But he just kept on doing what he needed to do, being gritty, being stick to it with those Clemson guards, and man, got it going there. And so that's really good. Melinda Dolphin asks, were the fouls called on Henry mostly ticky-tack? I remember one, the first one, maybe it was the second one, that was in rebounding action on Carolina's offensive end. It was a good call. The fifth one was kind of an obvious in rebounding situation. Maybe they were ticky-tack, but I didn't I'll say it this way. There were none of them that I disagreed with. I thought they were all the right calls, and it's just unfortunate, and here's what I love, though, is Carolina had to finish the last, when did he get that fifth foul? 2 minutes or so left. You had to finish this game both without Caleb Wilson and without Henry Vasar. And at some level, I got to be honest, as he went out, I thought, this game is turning into, a free throw game here at the end. And so it's kind of nice that Henry's going out, because then you don't have to worry about him getting fouled and going to the free throw line. And so, right? Like, I'll take that, and really good. Was one of them an illegal screen? Maybe? I don't remember. Anyway, all around, I didn't necessarily disagree with any of them, but there were some weird calls both ways. For example, and I feel like I've seen a couple people say it in here. Let me see if I can find one. Yes. Derek Tyson says that Zayden High layup getting taken off the board could have been heartbreaking if we would have lost. Remember this. It's early in the game. It's a late shot clock situation. Zayden High gets an offensive rebound. I'm even going to look back because I had it in my notes. Carolina is up 11-7, and Zayden High gets this offensive rebound, gets it up in plenty of time, but the official that's over in front of the Clemson bench, like early, whistles what he thinks is the shot clock violation before it actually goes off. And like, I get the humanity. Sometimes it's going to happen, but you know what you do, Mr. Referee? You just watch. You don't guess. When you see the little box go red on the shot clock, there's just a little line, the red light. When you see that red light go, then you just stick that little whistle in your mouth, and that's when you blow it. Not before, not after, right when the red light goes on. Then you can boop, boop, boop. Then you blow your little whistle, not before. And what that did to Carolina is that took those 2 points off the board, and the Tar Heels obviously aren't gifted any extra time there. So they've got 0.6 of a second to try to get a shot off. Henry has to take a desperation three. He's blocked, and Clemson gets to go the other way with it. What are we doing? The funny thing is Clemson isn't able to score. And when Carolina does get that 13th point, it's a lob from Seth Trimble to Zayden for a dunk to get it to 13-7. So it's kind of poetic justice. But let's say Luca had missed the front end of that 1-and-1 late, and Carolina has 2 fewer points because that bucket doesn't count. So Derek's got a great point here. That nearly could have mattered in a big, big way, and I'm so glad it didn't. Michael Gerbiz asks, will the real Tar Heels please stand up? Who's in our starting 5 on Saturday, assuming Caleb's back? I mean, if Caleb's back, you got to go big like you did against Duke last time. Remember, leading into the Duke game, Jaden Young had been in the starting lineup. And I believe it was that game that Carolina went big again. And so they started all 3 of the 6'10" or more guys in the front court, Jaron at the 3, Caleb at the 4, Henry at the 5, with Derek Dixon and Seth Trimble. And that's what I'm going back to, if Caleb's available and if Caleb's starting. If Caleb's not available, I think you just go back with the lineup that you've been using lately, with it being Derek Dixon, Seth Trimble, Luca Bogavatz at the 3, and then Jaren and Henry in the front court. And so that's absolutely what I would do, because you got to try to match. Like you saw, if you all watched the Duke NC State game last night, which by the way was so frustrating, because it's like, oh, this is what that game would have looked like if Caleb and Henry could have played against NC State, because Duke just used their size. NC State decided to go zone to try to mitigate their lack of size. And Duke was just like, it was like me playing against my 10 and 6-year-old, right? Like, my wife's name is Maggie. Here, Mag. And I just lob it over the top, and then I'm just laying it in. I felt like Gangba and Boozer were just laying it in all night. And Carolina has to mitigate that the best they can. And so if Caleb's available, he's back starting at the 4. Jaren slides back to the 3. If not, you keep Luca at the 3 and you slide Jaren back to the 4 as he'd been doing. And that's what you roll with. There is an argument maybe for somebody like a Jonathan Powell to get in, but I think Luca coming off this game, you gotta rock with that again. Critically speaking of Jonathan Powell, his only 3 points of the game was that end of shot clock 3 that bounced on the rim about 42 times before it fell. Crazy stuff. But you know what? Jonathan Powell's out there getting rebounds again. That dude can get up, man. He's got good hops. Love to see it. And so, yeah, Michael, that's who I'm going with. But if I'm being honest, you guys, because Carolina has put themselves in a position where the Duke game, assuming SMU can take care of business, I said that backwards, assuming Miami can take care of business tomorrow night, the Duke game, I know how badly we want it, but from a postseason standpoint, it can definitely help you. Like, that's probably a seed line bump if Carolina sweeps the regular season against Duke, getting you to like a 4 seed instead of right now what seems to be a 5. But is it worth it if Caleb isn't fully healed and ready? Rather, would you let it go another at that point? Because if you've got the double bye, you don't play again till next Thursday. So that would give it from today. What's today? Tuesday night. If you play him against Duke, that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 3 days of rest, and most of the day Saturday, 4. But then if you don't play him, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, most of the day. So like 8 days of rest instead of 4. There's merit to that. There's validity to it. And so I think that's worth considering. All right, you guys, so much more to get to. Of course, I'll say this. We've said it before, and I want to say it again. Absolutely mad props to Hubert Davis and the staff and these players for not moping when Caleb Wilson went down, for figuring it out, for circling the wagons, and now have put themselves in a position that, I got to be honest, even with Caleb Wilson, didn't feel like it was going to be attainable, potential double bye in the ACC tournament, because Carolina, after the Miami loss or after the NC State loss, was like 7th in the ACC. I was like, that ain't going to happen. But here we sit, just needing either one more Carolina win, one more Clemson loss, or one more Miami win, and Carolina's the 4 seed. Unreal stuff. So proud of this team, the fight and the grit. Keep it going. Let's go shock the world Saturday at Duke, right? It's going to be great. I can't wait. Thank you all so much for being here with me after the game. We will be live again tomorrow with our Wednesday show. I'm thinking I'm going to do that at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, 8:30 my time in Central time. If you've not subscribed to the show on YouTube, so you know when we're going live, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and then when we go live, it'll just pop up with a little notification for you, and you can tap right in. Also, I've been trying to start saying this more. If you're somebody who only watches, it would mean the world to me, even if you never listen, if you would go download the audio version of the show as well, because that helps so much. It would mean the world to me. If you care about this show, that would be awesome. And I don't say that it's like something's going wrong or anything. It's just like to help continue to grow it. Subscribe on both. You're the man, you're the woman. Appreciate you. Okay. If you've not joined the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, man, that's a great place of all sorts of Tar Heels fans to be part of. That link's in the show notes. And if you want to go deeper with the show, check out the Everydayers Club. That link is also down there. All right, you guys, huge senior night win. I'm so elated for Seth Trimble to go out in this way, and Elijah Davis as well. So deserving. We'll talk again in the morning. Great to be together. But until then, peace.